Bean kept looking at me like, you wouldn't. He wouldn't move me out of the chair. But I would. And you know why? Because, what is up, ladies and gentlemen? It's your boy, Jonathan. Oh, it's Wednesday. Oh, wow. I have not been able to speak all day. But, it's Wednesday, and you know what that means. It's time for a one-off. Okay. You know, cats, love them or hate them, sometimes you just gotta hate them. See this? This is my nice keyboard. We'll just put it right here. I don't know if that'll go into focus. But you see right here in the middle, in the important bit, you know what that is? That's cat pee. You know when I discovered that? Today, when I went to go write. So, I'm not writing anything new this week, and next week is Christmas, so I think I won't be traveling that day, but it'll be the day after I got back. So I'm planning on writing something it's going to be pretty short probably. Until then, I'm going to read this week a short story that I wrote for a contest a while back. I don't know. I just enjoyed it. So I'm going to read that off for you since I can't write anything new. I can, but then I'd have to use that keyboard's awesome. Hopefully I get another one for Christmas or like Christmas money that I can use on it. I don't know. It's fine. Anyway, on to the video. The Worlds They Make by Jonathan Howe. Read to you by Jonathan Howe. Ren, the world shaper, rested in the Valley of Renewal, handle stretching into the sky. The hammer had been placed there by the previous wielder Zil before they merged into the valley floor to die and be reborn. Mayk was born of Zil's life force, cultivated by the valley. They knew portions of the previous being's memories. Mayk knew they were the next in a lineage, beings of creation. Zil had come before them, creating the 307th world. Beyond those two pieces, Mayk was on their own. They sat up, looking around the valley. The landscape was simple. Tall grass covered the valley floor, becoming sparse higher up. Evergreen trees sprouted from there. The trees continued to the top of the foothills and most of the way up the mountains, but eventually they faded, leaving nothing but the craggy peaks. Still higher than the mountains was Hren's handle, the hammerhead itself towering over the foothills. Incredible, Mayk whispered, in awe of the valley and the world shaper itself. One day, they'd wield Hren to make a new world of their own. Mayk got to their feet, turning away from Hren down to face the path of knowledge. The valley had a clear direction, a large loop that passed by the worlds previous. Mayk started walking. They reached the first world, made by the first being of creation eons ago. It looked like a spherical gemstone hundreds of feet tall. Mayk gingerly reached out, laying their palm on its surface. Memories of world flashed before their eyes. Mayk knew what the first being knew, their thoughts in shaping the universe, the decisions they made to guide it, and their sorrow when it came to an end. Taka had used the valley as a reference, trying to make a paradise. The beings they created enjoyed life but died quickly. Taka hadn't known why, frantically creating until something stuck. Taka learned these beings had basic needs, food and water mainly, that beings of creation did not. Taka saved the life forms, but still found something was missing. The creatures had no drive, no purpose. There was no reason to do anything when everything was provided, and eventually they all died off. Don't die, please, Mayk thought, echoing Taka as the final creature slipped out of existence. Mayk felt Taka's sorrow and failure as they withdrew back into the valley. The world had deteriorated once Taka left. Nothing more than a dark wasteland remained. Mayk moved away from the first world subdued. The next 10 worlds were plagued with similar issues to Taka's. Life placed in the worlds had no reason to live. Upon the 12th world, Mayk was beginning to dread their place in their cycle, fearing they'd repeat the failures of creators before them, leaving behind nothing but a legacy of sorrow. They laid their hand on the 12th world stone, assuming the thoughts of Yikteta. I want to do better, Mayk heard Yikteta's thoughts as they gathered together vast swaths of blank matter. They brought down Hren, beginning to shape a world unlike any other they'd seen before. The universe was vast and diverse, a blank slate where life could thrive. But Yikteta didn't stop there. They finished, then looked back over their creation, deciding to do something Mayk didn't expect. Yikteta gave the universe flaws. They made some planets barren, and they made others hostile. Yukteta made a flawed universe, then found a planet in the middle. Not completely flawed, but not a paradise either. They set life on it. They'd created all kinds of life throughout the universe, but on this planet they placed humans. Finally, Yukteta existed with the humans for a century before retreating to watch. There's no way setting them in a flawed universe will work, Mayk scoffed. But as they watched, the people began to thrive. The challenge of overcoming a flawed universe seemed to give humans drive, allowing them to enjoy their time. When the millennia passed and the universe was returning to blank matter, all life gone, Mayk did not feel sorrowful. It was far from a perfect world, but life had a purpose, which made it all worthwhile. What is my purpose? Mayk thought, moving away from the 12th world to continue down the path to the 13th. If I exist to make a world that is doomed to fail, is my purpose meaningless? Mayk had seen 12 worlds, and only one didn't leave them feeling empty. No world created could last, but only Yukteta's world had meant something once it was gone. Mayk continued along the path, unable to reach a conclusion. Yukteta's world had started a positive trend. The following incarnations formed imperfect universes, filled with challenges for life to overcome. Humans became a staple, the being most incarnations made as the pinnacle of life. Humans resembled the creator, but with flaws, which kept them each unique and interesting. I see myself in them, Mayk thought, watching humans struggle to find meaning and purpose in the 37th world. That world came to an end when the humans grew too advanced and traveled beyond the created universe. They found nothing and gave up on improving, eventually falling back to a primitive state before the last humans died. The pattern continued for a while, each world's humans struggling to find meaning and eventually giving up when there was none. Mayk began to fill with sorrow again, watching the incarnations go through the same motions, ending with worlds that left no mark. Am I doomed to nothingness? Mayk thought, pulling away from the 63rd world. They moved away, continuing along the path. Mayk had grown, now towering above the trees as they walked, each step covering dozens of feet. With their growth, the space between worlds grew as well, giving Mayk time to reflect as they moved on. Mayk despised this time, unable to ignore thoughts of their own seemingly unnecessary existence. Ren was a speck on the horizon, the handle most visible over the mountains. If I wield you, will there be anything left when I am done? World after world ended in nothingness. Each new world filled Mayk with more despair. They reached the 89th world stone, laying their hand on it and allowing the memories to consume them. They were now sad. They stood in a vast nothing, Ren in one hand, matter in the other. Syed sorrowed as Mayk had, feeling the futility of creation. They wanted something more, but feared failure. Syed hesitantly raised the hammer, bringing it down to begin creation. Mayk watched, filled with wonder, as Syed created something new. Syed created a being of life in the world, a deity to rule over it. They made a being whose job was to bring life in as it saw fit and rule over them as it pleased. Syed gave up their own power for something new, Mayk thought, watching with anticipation. The world was in ruins much faster to the worlds prior. The deity made humans, but gave them everything. It stripped life of purpose, driving its creations to death. At the end of the world's time, the deity begged Syed to end it, finding no purpose to continue. Syed obliged, and Mayk pulled their hand away, feeling Syed's final moment of satisfaction. That was an almost unmitigated disaster, a complete failure, Mayk thought. But I feel better. They wondered at the emotions, confused why it hadn't caused them sorrow. All the worlds after took inspiration from Syed, slowly perfecting the idea of deities. By the 6th world with a similar build, Mayk grew tired, stopping to sit on a foothill somewhere between worlds. Every world built is almost the same until an incarnation grows tired and changes something. Incarnations follow after the new idea, perfecting it until the idea was no longer unique. The more Mayk learned, the less they wanted to ever wield Ren. The hammer was a blip on the horizon, indistinguishable from the mountains around it. I'm worried I will be another link in the chain of meaningless worlds, Mayk thought. They stayed on the hill for a long time. Every moment of contemplation drove them further away from the idea of ever creating a world. If I finish this path, I'll have to pick up the hammer. If I don't move, I'm doomed to an eternity of meaningless existence. The two futures warred inside Mayk. They could finish, make a world, then be reborn as a new being, but that would continue the cycle and force another being to feel the same sorrow. But what other purpose do I have? Mayk thought. They didn't have obstacles to overcome. They weren't in a flawed world made by a being of creation. They were the being of creation. There is no one to give me purpose, Mayk realized. The revelation was jarring. They curled up, pulling their knees to their chest and hiding their head in the blackness it created. Mayk wept. Without purpose, their life was truly meaningless. So Mayk accepted the option to stay on the path, never to wield Hren. Mayk kept their face buried even after they stopped weeping, time moving around them. Mayk didn't feel the centuries pass, but they couldn't stop thinking. Despite having given up, Mayk continued to recall worlds, reliving the experiences in their mind. They kept returning to that failed world Syed had made. It had been imperfect, flawed in catastrophic ways, but it had been the most interesting. Why did Syed create such a world? Mayk pondered. They'd known Syed's hesitance to create, but in the end, Syed had done it anyway, ending in failure. Who's to decide it failed? Mayk thought quizzically. No one had told them it was a failure. They just decided. Syed had left the world feeling accomplished. I decided it was a failure, Mayk realized. They raised their head to the light, feeling a glimmer of hope. I decided. Mayk stood and continued down the path with renewed vigor. Each world attempted to try something, attempted to create, and each world brought something new. With every world Mayk viewed, they tried to find something which demonstrated purpose. They learned what drove people to exist. Sometimes they were driven by a deity, sometimes by survival, and still others were driven by conquest. As Mayk studied, their sense of purpose grew. I decide. I create my purpose. Mayk sprinted between the final 10 worlds, watching each one excitedly. Hren, the world shaper, was now in view. It no longer towered over Mayk. They instead towered over the hammer. As Mayk reached Zill's world, the final world, they noted Hren looked almost wieldable. Mayk rested the tip of their finger on Zill's world stone, experiencing one more creation. Is there anything worth creating? Zill thought. There is, if you find purpose in it, Mayk thought in response. They knew Zill couldn't hear. Their voice was a memory, but it still brought strength and comfort to Mayk to think the words. Zill's world was a convoluted mess. They'd made a world that wrenched itself in two, each working separately. Both experienced similar struggles but dealt with them differently. They're like us, Mayk said, given the same opportunities but reacting differently. Yet both worlds have purpose. Mayk watched until Zill's memories stopped. They stepped away from Zill's world and faced Hren. In the time Mayk had spent viewing Zill's world, they'd grown enough to wield the hammer perfectly. Mayk stepped into the other side of the valley they'd woken up in, looking down on the place that had once awed them with its majesty. Mayk still appreciated the valley, but their experiences took the awe from the mountains and valley, resting it all on Hren. With this hammer, I am going to create something, Mayk thought, standing before Hren. They took one more look around them, following the path with their eyes, looking at each world stone they'd experienced. Then they reached down, grabbing Hren by the handle. And we're back. Yeah, I really enjoyed this. It was for a contest where the prompt was world builders, and I don't know, I thought it would be really interesting to go into the whole philosophy of getting to try over and over again and trying to learn from the past failings of other people, but then also like taking on their emotions and growing every time. And I thought it was interesting. It didn't win. It got an honorable mention. That was cool. But yeah, that's pretty much it. Thanks for watching. Once again, hit that like button if you're here. Send this to your friends so that they can come one-off Wednesday with the rest of us. And I'll see you guys next week. Anyway, Nikkei, bye!